Some really good questions tonight. Our next speaker is from Cornerstone Christian, Josh Howlett. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
And Josh come by the office, how long ago did he come by my office? He wanted to meet with me a little bit. I was just trying to find an opportunity for him to share his work there at Cornerstone. He's one of the counselors there. And we found out we used to play against each other in basketball back in the day. You can tell by the height. He's from Raleigh. You're from Raleigh. I'm from Winston. And so anyway, I want him to speak because counseling is something. Mental health is a major issue in our country today. And I appreciate Christian organizations such as this that stand in the gap there, that tries to do their part to help give good counseling, because sometimes people just need somebody to talk to. And I really appreciate that. And so you have the floor, man. You take as much time you need. Well, not too long. I got to go to bed tonight. But I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. And after he gets done, we'll have some time for question and answer. So thank you, Josh, for coming tonight.
Thank you, Pastor Dean. Pastor Dean, we brought up this high school basketball game. A couple of them we played against each other, and I was able to counsel him afterwards and comfort him, as we reviewed how my school did against his. And so he's doing better now, still needs to check in every once in a while. But appreciate you all having me. And when I met with Pastor Dean, I was really impressed with him. He was sharing with me some of the books he was reading, just on counseling and a variety of different things, and the fact that you all have a pastor who's a learner, who's just trying to dig in and figure out how can I minister to the people of the church at a higher level. It says so much, and so encourage your pastors. It's a hard job, and the enemy just has leaders in his sight, and so encourage your leaders. My name is Josh. I'm a counselor at Cornerstone. I work as a full-time licensed counselor there. I was previously a pastor. At Cornerstone, I do the marriage counseling, the majority of the marriage counseling, and then I also counsel a lot of men. And a lot of the other counselors, they aren't jumping at the marriage counseling opportunities. There's shoes flying across the room, and people getting from no, it's not that bad. But if you're married, marriage is a hard thing, and it's hard to calibrate and get right. And so we like to be an encouragement and help people see each other in a better light, and learn how to have mutual understanding. I myself am married to my wife, Jenny. We were trying to figure out, when was it, yesterday, how many years we've been married. And we knew we had gotten married in 2007. And so I said, Alexa, how many years has it been? And she said, stop. And my wife wanted to do the head math on it, so she comes up with, okay, 18 years. All right. And so I'm like, okay. Alexa, how many years has it been, since 2000? And she got it right, and so she's gotten it right, at least once in our marriage. So anyhow, I don't think she's going to hear this. So we have 3 kids in sports as well. So the marital advice, the family advice, the guidance we give out has been tried and tested. We're in the middle of it, and so some of you know about that. But my family's my joy. They're my self-care. I love having a family and the opportunity there. Before moving back to North Carolina, I grew up in Raleigh. This was kind of coming back home. I was a pastor down in Texas, in Austin, Texas, and so I'm kind of a transplant, like Melissa as well. And we came up here. Unlike you, we didn't have any jobs when we bought our house. We just went for it. We bought the house, and then we kind of figured, our realtor thought we were totally crazy, and we felt pretty strong leading from the Lord to come up here, and eventually got connected with Cornerstone about 5 years ago. And it's been really good. I remember asking a friend of mine, she's from North Carolina, I asked her, said, hey, if you could counsel anywhere in Western North Carolina, where would you counsel? And she said, Cornerstone. And so I reached out to them, and things were going well, and I was talking with them, and just had a question of, hey, just want to be honest, like, do you think there's enough need in the small town of Hickory? Do you think you guys can kind of keep me busy as a counselor? And the directors who have been there a long time, they just kind of laughed at me, And after being at Cornerstone for about 5 years, I found out that we do about 10,000 sessions a year. And so, much to my relief, Catawba County has plenty of problems. Some of them, some of them are mine, some of them are yours. We all have issues we struggle with, right? 1 in 5 U.S. adults experience mental illness each year. 1 in 20 adults experience serious mental illness each year. If there were 50 people in this room, that would mean that 5 of them are struggling, right? And 2 of them are having really bad days most days. Think about that as you show up on Sunday, as you shake hands with people. Think about that as you interact with each other. The Bible tells us to bear each other's burdens. The thing about mental health is it's not always apparent. It's not always out there in the open. One of the reasons that Cornerstone exists is so that people can have a place to voice those things that maybe it's not easy to process with other people around you, to have a safe place. I put a flyer on your table there. If you want to take it and just kind of open it up, I'll walk you through a little bit of who we are. We have the counseling center here, and we offer biblical truth and psychological insights to help hurting people move toward wholeness and maturity, personally, relationally, and spiritually. This phrase really stands out to me here. It says, many men and women lead lives of quiet desperation. Personal wounds, disappointments, and biological predispositions at times gives way to problems such as depression and anxiety and hopelessness and compulsions and addictions and broken relationships. And God longs to liberate and strengthen each individual. That phrase there, most men and women lead lives of quiet desperation. We all have something that we're kind of staying quiet about. We all have struggles that we don't just put it right out there at Bible study or small group, or things that maybe if we have a safe, trusted friend, we would process that with. There's something really neat about a confidential setting, like a Christian counseling center, where people who may look like they just have it all going on the outside come in and they share with you, hey, my relationship is really going, in a tough way this year, or I have, I see you on Sunday, I look good, but I stay in bed the rest of the week. People come in and they process things with us, and they share things with us. One of the phrases that I've heard quite a few times is, I've never told anyone this. I've never told anyone this. And a key part of them opening up in that setting is confidentiality, which I just want to remind you all as a church, if you can, just as friends, as members of the body of Christ, if you can create a safe place for the people around you, Larry Crabb, who headed up the program, I went to Colorado Christian for my counseling training. He says sometimes a close friend, is even better than, a licensed counselor. He says close, safe friends. But if you can be a place where your friends can process things with you and it doesn't go out of the room, you can provide a lot of the healing that they need as well. But people tell us that. They say things like, I've never told anyone this before. And there's this thing in the field of counseling, it's called the disclosure effect. And it's this idea that if I just share something with someone and it's a safe place, it feels much lighter. And they say shared sorrow is half sorrow. Shared sorrow is half sorrow. Other side of it, anybody know the second part of that quote? Shared sorrow is half sorrow. Shared joy is twice joy. It's a good quote, but pay attention next time you share something with somebody, how much lighter you feel. Cornerstone is a 501c3. It's a nonprofit. We do take insurance, but we also take donations to supplement the cost of counseling. Mike and Judy Stewart, they started Cornerstone this year. We'll be celebrating 30 years. And they really wanted Cornerstone to be a place where where costs didn't get in the way of counseling. And so if people come in and they can't afford counseling, they can apply for financial assistance. And I'll tell you a little bit more about our academy. The academy that we have, they meet over by the Science Center. You might have seen the signs over there. We have 27 students there. We have specialized academic programs, and you can see over here a little bit more about our academy. It provides academic programs for students who have learning differences, ADHD, dyslexia, dysgraphia, disorders in reading, written expression, math, language processing, and cognitive abilities in the average to above average range. And I'm like, where was that when I was in high school? So, but just having a place that can kind of help you along some. Our school, it's classy in some respects and yet humble in others. I went to speak at chapel and it was so cool. It's like this, we have PhD teachers, quite a number of them have their PhD, but at chapel where we meet in the hallway over there, and all the kids bring out their lawn chairs and they're just sitting down there, like they just drag them out in the hall, and it's kind of cool. So it's, classy and humble, and the people who run the school are just top notch. Whether it was a counseling center or the academy, just walking around town, bumping into people, the whole, so many people in town have been connected, encouraged by Cornerstone. I was at the LR soccer game, Hickory FC. I don't know if any of y'all have gone to the games, but it was really cool. I love that we have that here. So I was just standing in line with my son, and we were getting concessions, and I was bored, so I talked to the guy in front of me. I have ADHD, so I was bored, so I'll just talk to anyone, So I'm talking to him, and he's like, so what do you do? And I tell him I'm a counselor, and he begins to tell me about his experience with his son at our academy. And he says, hey man, if my kid hadn't gone there, he would have just fallen through the cracks. But right now, he's in college, and he's doing really well, and we could not have done it without you all. And so much life impact that's happened there, and then again, at our counseling center as well. We're in Isaiah 61 ministry. If you see it on the back here, this verse, it's where Jesus opened the scroll up to when he was kicking off his ministry. It's what he said he was anointed to do. He said he came to bring good news to the afflicted, to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to captives, freedom to those in darkness, comforting to those who mourn, so they'll be called oaks of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he might be glorified. I love that idea of people becoming oaks, like these strong, healthy oaks. And yet, a lot of times in a church setting, I know I like to present myself like I'm already an oak, right? Like I'm doing pretty well. We can all get in that, or maybe to friends or family or people we want to impress. It's like, no, I'm doing pretty well, and we don't really want to deal with the fact that sometimes we're the brokenhearted who needs bound up. We're the person who's captive who needs to be set free. We're the person with that addiction who actually needs some help. We're the ones who need healing. And so a lot of times what we'll see is in the counseling setting where you have that confidentiality, instead of trying to appear like these righteous, glorious oaks, people are like, hey man, let's be real. And behind closed doors, they have that opportunity. And a lot of times that's where the healing can come, is when people can be open and transparent and then not judged either. You can see some of what we deal with here, some of the issues we help with, abuse, addictions, anxiety disorders, ADD, ADHD, depression, mood disorders, so many things that we deal with, family issues, abuse, trauma issues. The list is long. If you've ever seen the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, it's like that big, and they probably didn't cover it all. So we try to meet people in that place, and when we do, it's funny how the psychological world is kind of circling back to almost, spiritual principles. So they say, meet people with unconditional positive regard. Unconditional positive regard. What does that sound like to you all? If you meet people with unconditional positive regard.
Respect.
No. Respect. Unconditional. Jesus. It sounds like Jesus, okay? That's exactly what it is. When he met the woman at the well, he says, where are your condemners? Or the lady who was not the woman at the well, the prostitute who they were going to stone. Or I don't know if she was a prostitute. Pastor Dean can clarify that on Sunday. But the woman, he said, where are your condemners? And they were all gone. And he said, I don't condemn you either. Okay, so we meet people with what we call unconditional positive regard. And so no matter what they tell us, we try to keep this space of like grace and hopefulness. And that can be really hard when you hear some of the things that people have gone through. But it's grace, and that's what we meet people with, and that's kind of what we're about. So again, 10,000 sessions a year. We have about 15 counselors day in and day out. It's a hard job. We appreciate your prayers for us. We do appreciate your donations. Thanks for coming out tonight. I know you all could have been at the Hickory Saint game, Hold on. Someone told me we're on the other side of the river and not to bring that up. But, okay, there you go. So go Saint. But you're here, and you're here caring about causes that are really important. And so thank you so much for your support. Thanks for being who you are, the type of people who will come out on a Friday night to support something like this. So I'm up for questions if there are any. So,
how does people know about you to get your services? Are they referred by somebody else to you all?
A lot of different avenues. So some word of mouth. Maybe they have a friend, or we're connected with a lot of churches as well. So we have a lot of referrals from pastors. So Cornerstone is a Christian Counseling Center. We don't impose our faith on people, but we're openly Christian. Okay, so we can navigate that, very well. We all know how to do that. I often ask people like, "Hey, would you like to know what the Christian perspective is on that?" So a lot of churches will make referrals. A lot of pastors make referrals. Doctors, psychiatrists.
What's your ratio of adult clients versus children, adolescents?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. We see a lot of kids and a lot of adults. So. Right.
Like if someone comes in, you have with addiction, then you have, you're better with this counselor, you kind
Yeah.
of.
The front office does a lot to, try to pair people in a good way. So, if someone comes in with, big boots on, is leaving dirt all over the carpet, they send them up to my office. So, if they have a, eating disorder, I'm thinking Jimmy Detweiler is someone that, they refer them to. And so there's a real need. One thing we say to a lot of our churches is, hey, let the front office know that you're from this church, and that you guys are a supporting church, and we try to, that can kind of give you a little bit of like, okay, let's get them in, because we're here to serve the faith community. That's a core part of our mission. We're here to serve the greater community at large as well, but never hurts. So. Well, thank you all so much.